Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. I am indeed WendyY Bailey, and I'm so glad you're here today for an episode where I'm going to talk about how you grow from rookie to guru status quickly. It's a strategy, it's a lot of insight I have. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, and I'll share more about the show, and then we'll get into our topic for today. So I'm Wendy Y. Everyone calls me Wendy Y. And I'm a 20 plus year veteran master business and sales coach. People know me as the income acceleration mentor. It's because I show my clients who are typically coaches how to double, triple, quadruple, and even quintuple their income from coaching programs, services, and products. I talk about business infrastructure. We work on marketing, messaging, and visibility strategies. And I also share sales, so profitable sales conversations that lead to conversion. That means that you're writing content and you're crafting your sales conversations and you're curating your sales activities so that you can enroll more people into your coaching program, services, and products. So that's a little bit about what I do. And the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show is part of a flagship brand that I have called Profitable Coaching Conversations. And within that brand, I do this web TV show. I turned it into an audio podcast. There's also repurposed short form content that's coming. And my new book is going to be kind of under the umbrella of Profitable Coaching Conversations at the end of February 2023. So there's a lot that goes on into what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. If you're here, be sure that you say hello and let me know that you are here and you are live with me. I'm broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. On YouTube, I'm broadcasting on two channels. Profitable Coaching Conversations is one channel. Wendy Y. Bailey is the second channel. I'm also broadcasting on my Facebook profile, my Facebook page, and two Facebook groups, as well as on LinkedIn, on my primary page on LinkedIn. So wherever you are, be sure that you say hello and let me know that you're here. Let me know that you caught the episode. I try to stay within like 25 to 30 minutes when I come live. And that means I do a little bit of housekeeping to give people time to join me. I take questions, I look at the comments, I do all of that kind of stuff. So it's all part of what I'm doing to share more content. For the last month and a half since the beginning of the year, actually before the beginning of the year, like the last weekend of the month, the last week of the month in December in 2022, I started sharing this content as part of a series that I'm doing. And the series is really to give you a glimpse into my wealth of knowledge and what I share and give you a glimpse into what I do. It's a preview, if you will, for an upcoming masterclass that I have. It's called Coach Elevation Blueprint Masterclass Series. It's 3 consecutive 90-minute masterclasses where I'm going to talk to you about what it looks like to elevate in a year. So thank you guys for being here. Be sure that you go to elevatewithwendy.com and ensure that you are signed up for that complimentary masterclass. So let's get into our content. After more than 20 years, what I see is there are a lot more coaches that are coming into the marketplace. I think the pandemic did something and people decided to leave their jobs, their corporate positions, their, 9 to 5s, whatever you want to call it, and, venture into doing something that they felt fulfillment from. And so a lot of coaches have entered the marketplace. I've seen and talked to quite a few as I've gone to different events, as I've been in certain groups. I've just heard and seen a lot of coaches who are coming to the marketplace. And let me say this, I'm going to give you this strategy, but the strategy by no means is about the end all be all to move you from rookie to guru. Okay. And let me say something about those two categories as well. When I talk about a rookie, especially in the coaching industry, typically what I've seen is the rookies are the people who are a little unsure about what you're going to do and who you're going to coach, right? Some of that takes time and experience, but some of that is kind of saying, I'm looking at what I've always done. I'm looking at what I wanted to do. I'm looking at what I'm good at, and I start there. I started in the exact same place. If you're a rookie, I started in the exact same place, and I coached based on what I knew. The first, I'm going to say 4 years of my coaching business, I coached professionals, right? People who had corporate jobs, and they were had a side business, and they were looking for how they could move out of that side business to replace their full-time income with that side business and make it more of a full-time business. So I did a lot of exit strategy work. I did a lot of let's lay the foundation kind of work. And over that period of time, again, for about 4 years, coaches started coming to me after a time and saying, what did you do to do this? How did you structure that? What system did you use? What tool did you use? What application? How did you do that? And I started sharing some of that, and just quite naturally fell into I coach coaches. Then I built a group coaching program that was teaching group coaching, and I helped people really create like a content strategy and how to sell it, but also how to develop the actual content so that it was transformational for the people who were part of it. When I was a rookie, I didn't know specifically what kind of coaching I would do. I just knew coaching was where I wanted to be. And so a lot of people who are rookies coming into coaching, you want to be a coach, you want to be a strategist or a mentor or someone that serves and supports your clients, but you may not know specifically how you do that, right? Let me say this, as a rookie, it is okay to have a sense of what you're good at, but then ask questions and start to connect the dots in terms of who it is you want to serve and how you want to serve them. The whole notion, and this is a WendyY concept, the whole notion of ideal client clarity and the power of one comes from that. Because coaches come and they say, oh, well, I've got all this experience. I'm going to create this really great program based on my experience. And my question is, who are you going to sell it to? Who do you want to be in your program? And that always causes a big question mark for the rookie, right? So what I try to tell people today is it's less important for you to build out the program and complete it than it is for you to know who it is you're serving, based on who you're serving, how you're going to help them. That means you know the problem they're facing, you understand all of the symptoms and the pains and all of that come from that problem. And then you're prepared to craft a solution that is a direct response to that program your ideal client is dealing with, that problem your ideal client is dealing with, right? And when you understand that, then you language the program and you really tailor the program to a specific ideal client, and it ties back to what you've already identified in your profile. So if you're a rookie and you're going, how do I get up to speed quickly? Know that it's not about the certifications. It's not about you building out a complete program before you know who you're going to build it for. You've got to know who you're building your program for, who you're coaching, right? And you've got to understand the problem that you're solving through your program. Well, Wendy, why? What if my ideal client has multiple problems? Well, most of your ideal clients will have multiple problems. What I say is list the problems, list them, and then rank them by order of importance. And then what happens, like what I've done over time, is as you started serving the client in addressing that one problem at the top, you create content that addresses the second, the fifth, the 12th, the 13th problem, and you focus on that. And then you find that you've amassed a lot of content still for that same ideal client. But now you have, resources that you can offer them and things that engage your ideal clients and enroll them into your programs. And they want to continue staying enrolled in what you offer. So if you're here, say hello and let me know that you're here. I see people are popping on. So I do want to make sure that that you can say hello to me, right? On any platform, and I'll see it here and I can, share more with you around that. I want to greet you. I want you to know that I'm here, and you can ask questions along the way. If you're catching the replay, as I jump into the strategy, if you're catching the replay, be sure to type hashtag replay to let me know that you were here. Okay. So I've told you a little bit about sort of how this topic came to be for me. Let me say something about the guru. I mentioned the rookie, so let me say something about the guru. Guru to me is not what you think it might mean. And here's what I mean. I've had people say to me, "Well, I don't like the term guru because, that says something about who you are." If you're a coach in the marketplace, you want to be an authority. And for me, the way I'm using the word guru is you want to be an authority. You want to be an authority with the kind of clients that you have identified as your ideal clients. You want to be an authority around what it takes to solve the problems your ideal client faces, not just the first one, but all of those. You want to be an authority. That's why I'm real clear. I'm an authority for coaches, right? And I'm an authority around business infrastructure. I'm an authority around marketing, messaging, and visibility. I'm an authority around sales. So when I talk about guru, I'm saying you want to be recognized as an authority. Okay, you want to be recognized as an authority for your ideal clients, the solutions they're looking for, and the transformation you can provide through those solutions. So I'm going to give you this 5-step strategy. Now that I've kind of gotten that out of the way, I'm going to give you this 5-step strategy that I think will help you to speed up the process for you becoming an authority. First of all, you've got to be very intentional about your ideal client and the problem your ideal client is facing and the solution that you offer. Those are like really well connected. That's 3 things that are really well connected. I talk about ideal client clarity. I'm not going to get into that here, but you need to know with great clarity who your ideal client is. And I work with coaches every single day, some that have been in the marketplace for a long period of time. And even though they've been in the marketplace for a long period of time, when I ask the question, who's your ideal client? And we start talking in detail about that ideal client, they are remiss. They miss something. They're like, oh, wait, I don't think that ideal client can do this, can pay me, can enroll, has the flexibility, has the money to invest, has the desire to really address this problem. That's what I mean when I talk about ideal client clarity. You've got to know your ideal client really well. Then you've got to understand the problem you're solving and the transformation you're creating through that solution. Okay. So when I talk about you being a rookie versus a guru, you could have been in your coaching business for 7 or 8 years. And just by definition of what I've described, you may still be struggling with engaging people and enrolling them, right? Engaging people and enrolling them into your program, services, and products. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to your shift from rookie to authority. Let me just use the word authority instead of guru. When you make that shift, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to be a lifelong learner. You've got to be a lifelong learner. That means you're in a position and you look at the world quite intentionally because you know you can learn something from everything. Okay. And here's what I mean by that. It's not enough to, consume a lot of digital content and look to your digital mentors. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. You've also got to be in a position where you can take what you see as a lesson that you're learning and apply it to serve and support your clients. You've got to be able to take the lessons and apply it. Again, I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first one I'll give you is when I first started my coaching business, I worked, like I said before, with professionals who had like a side business and they wanted to replace their full-time income with side business income, right? They wanted to gain that kind of traction. And at the time I was a member of it. I don't know that they call themselves a mega church, but it was a pretty good sized church, right? I was a member there. And my pastor, he's since gone on to glory, but my pastor there would preach in series, right? He would take a concept and the concept might be really complex and have some moving parts. And he would literally take that message, break it into pieces, and he would teach one sermon at a time, right? He would preach in series. He would preach part 1 and he'd give you 5 or 7 elements from that. He would preach part 2. Another Sunday, it may not be consecutive, but he would always say to you, this is part 2 of the series, right? So based on part 2 of the series, Let me tell you what part one is and was if you missed it, and here's part two. And then on another Sunday, he would do part three and part four and so forth and so on. So, what I learned from that is when you have complex concepts that you want to share, then you want to create the content in a way that's palatable. Am I saying the right word? You got to break it out into manageable pieces for consumption. So that's why this Coach Elevation Blueprint Masterclass is a series. Because I learned from my pastor that when you have a lot of concepts that you're trying to teach and trying to convey, you've got to break it out. And in breaking it out, you actually get to share depth around the concept. You get to share examples. You get to talk about the content, that concept, whatever it is, in greater detail. You can't do that if you've got, 25 different concepts that you're teaching in, a 45-minute or 90-minute sermon, nor can I do that in a 45-minute or 90-minute class, which is why I teach in series. So that's a lifelong learner's approach to looking at something that you're seeing, taking the lesson and applying it to what you're doing in your coaching business and how you serve your clients. The next example I want to give you is, I have a friend years ago. I say years ago, it's probably only been about 4 or 5 years ago. He had a high school daughter. His daughter was in high school, and she was a really, really good, very talented basketball player, right? And he was so proud of her. He sent me a video of a news report where the local news, this was in the Virginia area, the local news had interviewed her because she had an opportunity to play with more advanced players on the basketball team, like college level, pro level basketball players, right? And so when the reporter was talking to her, she gave her the daughter gave the reporter three reasons why it was just really good for her. And I listened to those reasons and I took those reasons, and I can't remember them now, I apologize. But she took those reasons and I took the lessons that she shared and I applied it to business. I will tell you that one of them was when you play well, then you have opportunities to play with more experienced players, right? That was one lesson. The second lesson she shared was when you play with other more experienced players, then you get to polish your game because it challenges you to a different level of play. Those are the two I remember. And there was a third one I can't remember. But the point that I want to make is when you understand with great clarity, that you're a lifelong learner, there are opportunities for you to learn everywhere, right? So practice being very intentional about being a lifelong learner. I write posts all the time that are from the lessons that I see through my everyday living, right? One of the posts that I made recently was actually it was a couple of days ago. I visited my mother and father's graves to put flowers there for my mom and my dad's birthdays. Okay, my dad's birthday was Monday, my mom's birthday was Thursday, so Saturday I planted flowers. In my post, I shared that when I went to the gravesite, what I saw was there were some flowers that had already been placed and they had been secured so the wind wouldn't blow them away. And because they were secured, the wind wouldn't blow them away. They couldn't be removed. I'd added my flowers to it, but it made me think, where are places in our lives that we have an opportunity to place and secure flowers in the relationships that we have? Lesson, right? Look at every experience that you encounter as an opportunity. Thank you so much for being here and listening to my program, Facebook first time listening person. It doesn't say your name. So otherwise I would say, whatever your name is. So be sure to post your name in the comments. But, you look at everything through almost like the eyes of a child where you can learn something, you can gain something from every experience, right? That's what I mean by lifelong learning. And it doesn't matter. It can be like the most innocuous kind of scenario, but if you're looking for what can I learn about it, the better. I read someone else that posted, it was something they copied from someone else, but it was a great post. And they talked about being in the dollar store and in front of them There was a woman with two children. One was older and the younger was a toddler. And the toddler was screaming and crying because the older child had some glow sticks. And so finally, the mom was like, okay, I'm tired of this child crying. Let me give you a glow stick. So she opened the bag, gave the toddler the glow stick, and the toddler was running around happy that it had, he or she had the glow stick. And then as they got ready to exit, the older child took the glow stick from the toddler, broke it, and gave it back. But while the glow stick was taken from the toddler started screaming again, right? So when the toddler gave it back to him, the mom, he said to the mom, I wanted to make it a better experience for you. That's why I had to break it. And as they walked out of the store, it became clear to the person who was telling the story that that's kind of how God interacts with us, right? God interacts with us and says, well, sometimes I need to break you so that you can glow. Sometimes I need to have you experience loss in, health challenges or whatever it is, because I'm preparing you for the glow, right? For the glow up, whatever the case is. There's a story, there's a lesson in everything. So the first part of the strategy is to recognize that you can learn from everything and become that lifelong learner that learns from any and every situation. Take the lessons and then apply them to your coaching business with your clients. I'm a movie buff. I tell movie stories with my clients all the time. It's because it's a place that's really comfortable for me. I can draw the connection from a line in a movie to the point I want to make when I'm coaching my clients. So be a lifelong learner and be intentional about that. The second thing I mentioned earlier, but I want to say more and more, become a lifelong reader. Become a lifelong reader. And if you're not big into reading, invest in something like audiobooks so that you can still get the same kind of learning and lesson. My son gave me a hard copy of Michelle Obama's first memoir, Becoming, a couple of years ago for Christmas. Well, I didn't read the hardcover. I listened to the audiobook. She read the audiobook. And when I was driving, I could hear it. It was just as impactful. It was just as moving. I learned a lot from it. There's so much that I learned about her from that. And I was listening to the book. So it was like I was downloading the information because I was listening to the audiobook. But reading is really something crucial. On the Profitable Coaching Conversation show a couple of years ago, I had Simon T. Bailey on, and I asked him what was the greatest decision, the best business advice that he had ever received. And he was like, to read books, because that's how he prepared to become a Hall of Fame speaker, a certified speaking professional. And if you don't know what that is, let me just tell you, a certified speaking professional means that you have done paid speaking gigs a certain number over a period of time, and that qualifies you to be a certified speaking professional. You've gotten paid for them. There's an amount associated with it, I believe. And then the Hall of Fame means that you've done so much speaking, because that's what Simon does. Simon is a speaker. He's also a digital content creator. He is a LinkedIn learning expert, whatever you want to call him. But that whole notion of reading has prepared him to be able to talk about things at length, because it expands his well of knowledge. And that's what I want to say to you. I'm one of those people, and I'll just share one of the books I'm reading right now. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Silent Agreements. But the way that I read books is I crack it open, okay? I read a little bit of the dedication and acknowledgments, but then I go through the table of contents and I kind of decide, wow, do I want to read this cover to cover, or do I want to read it in pieces? And sometimes the pieces help me get through books faster. I'm not a fiction reader. Let me say that. I'm not a fiction reader. If fiction is something you can learn from, then read fiction. Go for it. But, what I do is I read the introduction, which kind of tells you how the author laid out the book. Then you can decide if it's a cover to cover read, or you can decide if you just want to pick out some of the juicy parts. Now, this particular book I love because it's laid out for the reader that I am. It's laid out with an introduction, about silent agreements and how they affect our relationships. Then it talks about the key areas by chapter that are impacted by silent agreements. Then the last chapter actually gives tools, which I love, tools for how you address silent agreements and get them out of how you are, who you are. There's an appendix, there are references, there's acknowledgments, there's an index. So there's a lot of juicy stuff that helps the reader like me that sort of picks and chooses certain parts of the book. Now, if I read the book and it's really engaging and the author is great at writing, you know what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to read it from cover to cover because those kind of books are fun to read. If I can laugh at it, if I can, really highlight. I've got books. There are a couple of books that I have that I've dog-eared certain pages. I've added tape flags. I've highlighted. I've underlined. I've written in the margin. So, it's almost like studying the book. But when you are a reader, it really does help you download wisdom faster, especially when you, like in the first step of the strategy I gave you, when you apply what you're learning. When you read it, you apply it, you take the lessons and you apply it to your life and to the lives and spaces of your clients, then it's going to move you quicker to authority status, right? From rookie status to authority status. So those are the first two steps of my strategy. The third step, for those of you who are just popping on, the first strategy is be a lifelong learner and learn from everything. Okay. The second is to read books, learn the lessons, and apply the lessons that you're learning, right? And sometimes you have to try things out because they may not work the way you think. And when you try them out, it's almost like you're testing them. And when you test them and they're proven, then you can actually apply them and share them with clients. The third thing is to identify mentors and advocates. This is something I started when I was in corporate America. When you're in corporate America, especially when you're in a large corporation that has, big divisions and people located all over the country, or in my case, all over the Southeast, what happens is you can't be in every place potentially where people are going to notice you, where people are going to take advantage of your talents, gifts, and skills. So mentors and advocates came in handy back then, but they're still very important when you're in your business, especially in your coaching business. There are three types of mentors and advocates I'm going to give you. I'm going to call them different names, but I want you to know that they fall into this category of mentors and advocates. You've got the digital mentors. Those are the people that you learn from. Those are the people whose videos you watch. If you're watching this, I may be a digital mentor for you, right? If you're going to conferences where you're learning and hearing people speak, they may be your digital mentors. So think of digital mentors as part of this mentor and advocate group of people, right? You need to have digital mentors. If you've got one or two, that's great. If you feel like you can learn from 12, then that's great too. I want to be sure when you think of a digital mentor, you're thinking of someone who is, you get what they're saying, and all of these different mentors don't conflict, right? They don't have problems with what you're doing. They don't have their messages are not in conflict, is what I'm trying to say, right? When you understand who your digital mentors are, you can have as many as will help you expedite your authority, because you're learning just like you did with the books. You're learning, you're taking the lessons, and you're applying them to your life, and also applying them to support your clients. Okay. So I said digital mentors. Now I want to talk about thought partners. And thought partners are people that you look to, that you can, send a text to them or join in a group chat and say, here's an idea I'm thinking about. What do you think? And they can say, yeah, that looks good, but just turn it this way. Or no, I don't think that's good, but here's a resource that I can share with you that will help you. So that's a thought partner, and thought partners are good as well. Again, these all fall under the umbrella of mentors and advocates. The third type of mentor or advocate I want to talk about. This was really crucial when I came to when I was in corporate America. And what I found is it works really well outside of that when you're an entrepreneur as well. When you think of an advocate, think of an advocate as sort of like the person who's on the stages and in the places and boardrooms where you may not be, but they know of your talent, they know of your expertise. And because of that, they can pick up the phone and say, hey, there's a project that's coming up. And based on this project that's coming up, you may want to talk to this person, or I mentioned your name, and so you need to reach out. I have advocates that I don't always know, because people are always watching you, right? People are always watching you, whether they like your post or not, they see you, right? I can go out stepping and people say, I saw your video, you're doing your thing. I also have people who see my videos and they're like, oh, well, this is an organization that's looking for someone like you. Here's that process that you go through to connect with people in that organization. So digital mentors, okay, thought partners, and then advocates. Those are key for you to move quickly from rookie to authority. The next one I want to give you is to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. The time for bringing in people and being concerned about, competition, and you got to suspend all of that when you're an entrepreneur, especially as a coach. You've got to recognize that everybody brings strengths to you. One of the things I ask people who come into my business that I hire to support me in my business is, what do you really enjoy doing? Because typically people do what they enjoy doing really, really well. And if they tell me I'm a task person, you give me a task, I'm going to get it done, I know what to assign them and I know how to leverage their talents, right? And they're smarter than me, because I got to tell you, there's some stuff that I did, 20 years ago when I first started. There is no way I'll do it today, because I don't have the interest. I don't have the desire. I don't have the talent or the skills, because I moved on to something else. You want to bring in people that can do all of that stuff and be really, really smart at doing that stuff that you can't do. I just brought in an email copywriter, right? And we're working through my voice and how I sound and copy and all that kind of stuff. But the thing that I love about what he does is he starts the framework for it. So then I can go back, right, and add my voice to it. And as I'm adding my voice to it, he's learning. And I appreciate that his focus is on learning my voice. That is his wisdom. That is what he's talented at. That is what he's smarter at than I am, right? I know my voice, sure, but I need him to know it so he can write stuff that sounds like me. Okay, that's what that is about. But bring in people, surround people in your inner circle that are smarter than you across the board in so many areas, And the last one I'm going to give you sounds like it should be just, you should just know it. But I want you to understand that many, many people are out there and they don't know it. They don't know it. And that is, I told you the first one was be a lifelong learner and learn from everything. The second is read books, learn the lessons and apply them so that you can share what you're learning with your clients. Number 3 is to identify your mentors and advocates. I gave you 3 types. Number 4 is to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. That means in your business and around your business as well. I call it a success team. In the masterclass series, I'm going to walk through the people who need to be on your success team. And the last one, as I said, most people don't recognize it, but I want you to hear this. If you're a coach and you want to level up in your coaching business, you need to hire a coach. You need to have someone who is an objective, yet caring and compassionate resource to you, who can guide you around the pitfalls, over the hurdles, so that you can go from rookie to authority in your business quickly. Okay, hire a coach. Now, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, I don't have a coach, maybe I want to talk to you, go to elevatewithwendy.com, register for the masterclass, and I'm going to give you a lot of examples of how I coach, and there are going to be some hot seats as part of that as well, and it's all complimentary. So it's a great opportunity for you if you're looking at maybe you need to hire a different kind of coach. I have at one point in time had 3 coaches. Right now I have 1 coach that I'm working with because I'm interested in particular level that I'm trying to get to, and this coach can get me there. There's something very congruent about you being a coach and you paying and investing in having a coach that you need to really, really pay attention to. Okay. So that's the 5-step strategy. I'm here tomorrow. Let's see, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about, I always have to go look, how to risk more to accelerate growth in your coaching business. I hinted at this last week in one of the episodes, week before last, in one of the episodes that I shared. But I'm going to talk heavily about risk and what that really, really looks like. I've got a couple of visuals that I always love to share from some of my favorite digital mentors, right? And I also have my own perspective about risk that I'm going to give you tomorrow as well. I'm here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. That is on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you're here and you're catching the replay, be sure that you type hashtag replay to let me know. And if you have questions, be sure to let me know, and I will go back to every platform just to see what those questions are, and I can answer them there. If you are connected with me on Facebook, be sure to join the Profitable Coaching Society on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, go to profitablecoachingsociety.com. It will direct you to the link of the group on Facebook, and you can join me and, be part of the dialogue and conversation that we're having there. This episode has gone a little bit long, but I'm so glad that you hung in here with me. For the first time person, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'm WendyY Bailey, and I will see you tomorrow for another episode of the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.